Okay, today I will be taking this little golden book and turning it into my Christmas journal using one of my favorite binding techniques. This is an 18th printing from 1972, and it's a sweet little book filled with music and awesome pictures, all kinds of Christmas carols in this book. So it is a little golden book, and they're all put together with this gold paper foil binding, and underneath that is some big staples. I don't know if you can see them if you look like in the light, like you can see the little bit of raised part there and on the back. So that's how you take them apart. You have to undo those staples that are under the binding. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to keep it as intact as possible and then build it a new spine. Okay, here we go. And then the pages come out just like that. And your pages are intact. Now, usually, you're gonna have to cut them down to use them in their entirety. And you can see what happens here, because we'll cut this in half. And if you cut off the, what do you call it here, the gutter row, then these pages are too long and you have to start cutting these pages down. So it depends on how you're going to bind it as to how you're going to remove it. But put those aside for safekeeping, and we'll use them in our journal later. Okay, you can see here that I've damaged it, or it was damaged before. And that's split. So I'm gonna just go ahead and cut them off. And you just cut it right down the gutter. Sorry, the dog insisted on coming in. So he's in here now with me. He likes to go hang out in the closet, so my girls think that is just the funniest thing ever. Where's the dog? He's in the closet. Okay. Well, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do my least favorite chore in front of dusting, and that is ironing. But I don't mind it so much with this project. So I picked out this fabric. I thought it was a better fit because I kept thinking the pinks looked good together, but now that I'm really holding the greens in light, I'm not so sure about that. Let me grab some more fabric. Okay, so this one we're going to save for a little later. Let's see, what do we think about this one? I don't think that's a good one at all. We have red gingham, which is always a classic, and of course that's a pretty good one. And then I have this one too, which I thought might be a good fit. I think it's actually a pretty good match on the greens. I think. I unfortunately don't have any pink, but I think that would be the ideal right now that we have this red gingham. What do you think? You know what? I think I like this one. Okay, so we're gonna build our spine now. And so what I've got is 3 pieces of chipboard, and they're all cut to 2 1/4 inches this way, so it's 2 1/4, and then to the height of my little golden book. And I didn't even measure the height. I just put the book there and drew a line as to where I wanted to cut. So those are our 3, and I like to make a very sturdy spine. So when I get these glued together, and then I get my tie back on and then my fabric on, it'll be pretty sturdy, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so I'm just gonna glue these guys together real quick with some E6000, because I have it and because I can. Now I bought this one, which is the multi-surface all-weather adhesive. I can't say that I like it more than the regular one. I just can't say that. I think I like the regular one better than this one. But I bought it, I opened it, and so I'm using it. So we put them on. And you take them apart. And you put them back together the other way and kind of mush them around so the glue spreads to the edges, and that's how you do that. And then we do the other one. And this E6000, you know, it's not the fastest drying glue, but that's okay because we're not going to be like poking holes in this or anything. And just kind of make sure you get it close to the edges so it can bond all the edges as much as possible. And we put it on. And we wipe up the excess. We take it off. Maybe flip it. Wrap it around all the edges. And let it dry. You can also grab a baby wipe and help you clean up a little bit of this part. Okay, when that dries, it's going to be super strong. Okay, we're just going to leave it here for just a minute with some heavy things on it. Okay, so unfortunately I realized my fabric is not, like, it's literally just as tall as my book. And since I want it going that way and not that way, oh, maybe. Okay, whatever. We'll do it sideways, that's fine. So I know that mine is 2 1/4 inches, and I know I need this to be a little bit bigger. I need it to be a little bit bigger and longer. I'm gonna cut this white edge off. Okay, so that edge is cut off. And then I want to at least double, and I'm just eyeballing the double. So I'm saying right in this area. So I'm going to snip it there. And I want to double the height. So there's about one height. And so I'll cut it about right here as well. Just snip it and then I rip it, if it'll let me. Okay, that side rip first, but this side isn't gonna be the ripping side. Doesn't have to be perfect. Make sure you see where you're going. All right. Okay, this is just sliding around. Not okay. Okay, this is just like hem tape or Wonder Under. It's from Hobby Lobby. And really what I do is I just take it and lay it out. Now it does come in bigger rolls, but this is just what I had. So I'm gonna cut all these pieces to fit all the way across. And this is gonna be my adhesive for adhering this fabric to the actual spine. And that creates, I think, a nice fit. And also I got this from Melissa over at Pink Paper Peppermints, and that was a really good idea. So now I'm thinking maybe I need to shorten my hem here a little bit. So I might just be pushing everything over. Looks like I need to cut in that edge a little bit straighter. Let's see what this edge looks like. I am going to put a trim between the fabric, or next to, along the edge of this fabric. I'm just, for purposes right now that I need to see a straight edge, I'm doing this. Okay, and this is, I would say that's almost 2 1/4 inches. 3 pieces. See what their spine looks like on there. It's close. It's pretty close, and you can cut it in half if you want to, and just cut a smaller piece of it. I'm just gonna go ahead and lay it out and use this like this. Okay, so this fabric is ready to go. That's pretty. I do like that a lot. Okay, so that's ready to go. Ooh, it's hot. Okay, that's ready to go. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And then I've got way I have found to join this to the actual cover is with Tyvek. And so I get a lot of mail, and sometimes they come in these priority envelopes, and I just save them for crafting purposes, because you can't really reuse a priority envelope, I don't think. So in this one, I'm just going to use the fabric tack if it'll come out tonight. And we're going to get a really good bead on it all the way around. I need to go thin it out a little bit. It's pretty thick right now. So a lot of glue, a lot of strong glue, and that's the best way. Strong glue and strong materials to build the spine, because the more reinforced it is, the less likely it will be to fall apart very easily. This glue dries pretty fast, so there's no taking it apart once I stick it together. I usually just do a bunch of dots everywhere because it's usually pretty thick. And then I'm just going to stick it down in the middle here, like this. Give or take the middle a little bit. And if you want, you can iron it. Tyvek does not like the heat, so make sure you're not hitting the Tyvek because it is a plastic and it does melt. Okay, feeling pretty confident about that. And then what I do is I'll take this and attach it to the inside and make sure I have a gutter right here. I just need to let that dry for a minute before I flip it over. Okay, let me unplug this iron before I burn myself. Okay, let me let this dry a little bit. I'll be right back. Okay, now that I've got the covers on the right way, I am going to go ahead and work on getting the fabric attached to the spine. So I'm just going to cut off this excess Tyvek that was hanging over the covers, and I'm going to remove the adhesive or the backer off the iron-on adhesive that I have. I'm just kind of lining it up to make sure I've got everything fit. But the better way to do this really is to flip the cover over and look at it from the top side. So I'm going to do that here in a minute. Bless you to the dog. So this tape I'm using, it has adhesive on, like a double-sided adhesive, and you iron it on and then you peel off the backer, and the adhesive is there and it's heat activated. So then when you add heat to it again with the iron, it forms a very nice smooth seal or adhesion to the surface that we'll be working on. And there's none of the bleed through, like sometimes fabric glue will show through fabric. This eliminates the bleed through. Okay, I've lined up my fabric to my spine to make sure that it's going to end up where I want it to end up there on the edge, so it doesn't cover too much of the title. And I realized I want to add an extra piece of adhesive there, so that's all I'm doing. And I'm just ironing it on straight onto the spine for now, and then that will be adhere to the fabric and any of the other adhesive if there's an overlap when I get that on. So this adhesive, once I add the iron, is really fast grip. Like there's not a chance to move it. So take your time, get it right where you want it to go, and you'll see just how awesome this can be to get a smooth finish to your spine. Here goes the fun part. It turned out really nice. I'm really happy with it. But I realized that the back side, there's a lot of fabric hangover, and I'm not crazy about how far it went. So I cut a slip and I'm just ripping it straight off the back there. You can see me do that. Remember, I hadn't put adhesive all the way to the end, so there was plenty of room to rip that piece off without it being adhered yet. I'm just checking out the gutters and the folds and make sure everything looks good, looks lined up. I'm getting another piece of adhesive, and this one is easy to work with. You can see I just cut it in half and get a skinny little strip to sneak up under that front edge of the fabric. You just slip it in there, you iron it. You just let it cool for a second so you're not pulling the adhesive off. Let the adhesive stick to the fabric. And then you go in there and pull the cover paper off and iron it back down again. Look at that, the big reveal. It's such a nice finish to that fabric on that edge. And then what I'm going to do is just wrap that fabric in. Now remember, the Tyvek is plastic. It will melt, so I can't use the iron-on adhesive in here. So I am just going to use my fabric tack But just know that the inside is going to be covered up by my signatures anyway, so I'm not worried about if it gets a little clumpy or if it gets a little see-through spotty. So that's all I'm doing now, just adding some Fabri-Tac and folding it up. I am just now checking the seams, checking the gutters. I'm pretty pleased with how everything has turned out. Doesn't always work so great the first time. But I'm loving how that fabric kind of contrasts with the cover, but it kind of also goes with it, I think. So it looks really good to me. I'm very happy with it. Just adding some glue in a few extra places just to make sure everything's tacked down really well. Sometimes if I have edges that are lifted, I take a flat object, a flat edged tool, put a little glue on it and kind of shove it up under the edge, and that's one way that I use to stick glue, like Fabri-Tac or something, up under an edge that's just not secure enough for me yet. So don't be afraid to use your tools to get up in there and get the glue right. I'm very happy with the way it's standing up. It's really even. It closes well. I think this journal turned out really well. Okay, you see me here trying out some gingham ribbon to cover the edges. This way I don't worry too much about how the edges end up, if they're perfectly straight or a little bit off, because I always add trims to all my edges. It finishes them off, makes them look nice. But that is all I'm going to do to the cover for now. I'm about to get started on the binding mechanism in the next part. So here we go. Okay, here is my cover, and here's the spine. It's all nice and dry and really secure. I really am loving how the chevron looks with this. And what I'm doing now is working on the binding mechanism, and I'm just taking some elastic. They've got this great elastic at Hobby Lobby. I love these colors, but I like the thickness of this one, so I got them both. And so I'm going to do some of both, but I've been stringing beads on the elastic. So where I tie it on, the beads will be part of the spine, like this. Whoops. And I'll tie it in here, and that'll be my binding for the pages. And I'm just gonna kind of tie it, just, I don't know, kind of tie it right now, because I'm not really sure how tight I need it yet, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But this is why I want to have a thick spine, or a really sturdy spine, because a lot of pressure is going to be put on it from the pulling of the elastic. So, all right, so there's our first one, and I'm going to do a few more with a few different colors too. So I'm just going to speed this up so you can see me just getting some beads on here. Okay, now that I've got 3 pieces of elastic beaded and tied around the book here, I've used 2 of the bigger pieces and 1 of the thinner pieces in different colors, and I really like that. And I just use a square knot there. Okay. I already see a change I want to make on this blue one, so I go ahead and untie it and take off that big peppermint. I just don't like the way it's sticking out, but I do want to keep it on there, but I'm going to add it differently. I'm going to add a string to it so it kind of hangs more. So, and that's the other thing about these. When you have binding like this, you can hang things off them as well. Twisted. And since I have so much yellow here, I'm going to, I think, use that to just hang it. So I'm just going to thread it. Oops. Thread it. And I had it up here previously. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good place for it. So I'm going to tie it in a knot first. And tied it in a knot on to the elastic. That way it won't move too much. So I pull alternates. I pull the end and the string, and then I pull both. That and there, he's hanging on there pretty good, and he is super festive. Okay, I just need to make my signatures now. There's peace and there's believe. Another thing about this binding is I can keep adding elastic as much as I think I need, which this is probably all I need, but the option is there if I need it. And another thing I can do if I like is I have some little clips. I have the little Tim Holtz safety pins, or I have these upholstery pins, or whatever they're called, dry cleaning pins, and you can add other danglies. Like if I wanted to add this tree, let me take that back. If I wanted to add a button, nope, let me do it again. I wanted to add this tree and then add, say, a button to it so they'd be together like that, and then I could just kind of put it on wherever I wanted it to go. And then now we will work on the inside.